All right, we picked on Risk and asteroids. Let's move on to talking about everyone's favorite game, chess. Right. At times, this will actually, I think, seem a little bit kind of simple compared to what we were looking at before. Asteroids was pretty easy, but chessboard is you've got these very defined sections. It's basically 1 through 8, and well, I did this in kind of more traditional chess ordering, I guess. A through H, A starting over here, but this actually I think is a fine way of labeling your potential slots in the board, because one thing you could do, let me just move this over here a little bit, is early on basically make an array, right? So say an array of all slots of, let's say, I don't know how I lost there we go, of all potential slots, right? And literally naming them things like, A1, A2, A3, okay? So, once we start moving pieces around, if we find that, we try to do something like put somebody at A0, well, we could compare that to what is potentially possible on the board and go, nope, you can't do that. So stop thinking about trying to do something like that, right? And then, of course, you would also have, some sort of collection. Again, it could be an array for, pieces where player one is at, or player two is at. So let's just take a look at, let's say we've got a pawn right here, right? Okay, well, under most normal circumstances, okay, he's got two possibilities, right? He's going to go either here or here, at least for a starting move. And let's not worry about these options over here where he's capturing, okay? So, again, being the simplest little piece here, we could have a function that's essentially just, check up, okay? And this would return to us the possible slots in the up direction, So you've got something that's very literal, like check up, and possibly what you could do in here is pass in, something like, how much. So was this I for how much? I don't know why it's an I, but at most it's like 2, right? So then what this could return to you is, okay, so we know that this little guy is at D7, right? So he's at D7. So what you're going to return out of this would be either what, D6 or D5. I guess in this particular case, this is more like check down. Okay. Now, within this, you would also do kind of some subroutines where you go, whoa, wait a minute, is one of your other pieces already occupying this slot, So in which case, you'd have to take these two possibilities and then go, okay, well, let's also make another function that checks where other pieces are at as well. Is that already occupied? But the math on this, is actually, I'm trying to undo too much here at once. Let me just erase. But the math on this is not really that hard in terms of figuring out, where people can go to. Okay, and I'll do another example in a moment. But in terms of, what do these represent? What do these represent art-wise or whatever it is? It really doesn't have to represent actual panels at all. I mean, obviously, you're going to have some sort of, single graphic in the background that's going to be your grid for your pieces. But, like A1 could essentially just be, you could have a dictionary that looks up, okay, well, if someone's at A1, then we're going to put them at, 10, 10, for the X and the Y. So maybe this is your 10, 10 slot, right? So that's pretty much all I would probably end up doing in terms of, because no two pieces are going to occupy the same spot anyway. So, you just send somebody, okay, queen's going to go directly to A1 spot. Again, I'd look it up with some sort of dictionary. A1 is the key. The value is going to be the CG point, right? So, okay, let's say we've got your rook over here. Okay, so here's your little rook. I'm going to try to make a cat or whatever, castle type figure, right? All right, so this guy is at, what, A8 right now, okay? So in terms of, a function that's going to generate, where he can possibly go to. You're going to have, basically just check up, or really you boil it down to kind of check horizontal, check vertical, but let's just say it's like check up. Okay. Actually, it makes a little bit more sense to check down here. Okay, so this is gonna return to us initially all the possible slots along here, and then for the next one that'll be like check left, right, check right. So real kind of easy. He's at A8, so you're just gonna start doing subtractions on one side of this, A6, A5, and so on, like that, until you get to a point where, okay, did we try to subtract one below, So if you get too low, then, nope, there is no A0. All right, so you get rid of that. But maybe your board does have an A0, all right? So you want to tack on something like that. So that's where an array of all the possible slots comes in. So, if A0 was actually in there, okay, and you kind of kept subtracting out, okay, well, that's all right. You can actually move to A0, okay? Now, let's go the other way. So, let's say we're going to check left, okay? All right, so what changes here? The number stays the same, okay, so he's still going to be at 8, right? But you're going to then go, okay, well, let's check B8. Let's check BC. No, I'm sorry. C8. Even I'm getting confused. C8, D8, and so on like that, right? And if you did want to use actual letters for this, your horizontal row down here, then, of course, you're not really adding to a letter, but you are going to just, somewhere in your logic, you're going to say, okay, well, if we were at, if we were checking A, let's check B, let's check C, let's check D. And then, yes, if we get up to whatever, we're going to stop checking those numbers. Let's look at, and again, you do the same kind of rules after figuring out what are all the possibilities. Then you'd go, okay, well, if C8, if somebody was right here at C8, okay, let's say it's one of your own pieces, well, then in that case, stop counting, stop doing what you're ever doing. Stop this, or stop that, whatever that check was. Stop that check, okay? Wait, let's quit out of that. Let's return out of it, because really your only possibility then is going to be this guy, because you can't hop over that guy and do anything else. Again, let's not think about castling, all that stuff for right now. So let's put a queen down right in the middle of the board, because she's obviously going to be the one that can move the most. All right, so I guess I got to draw a little queen out of here, right? Doink, doink, doink. Okay, now she's over here at D4. Okay, so she's starting at D4. So essentially, you're going to have to go through the same things that you've already programmed, which is fine because you've already done them, for your rook. So again, you can do, just reuse the same function. Check up, check down, check left, right. But then you've also got to think about, okay, we need to check out some diagonal slots as well. And, the kind of the way this works is really simple too. So the first thing we're going to do, here we're going out this way. All right, so C, 3 is going to be a possibility. C5, okay. B2, B6, right? That's B6, B2. So you see the pattern on it real quick. We're going down one on the letter, then down another one on the letter, and so on like that. Number-wise, we started at 4. We're going to go 3, 2, eventually we're going to end up over here at A1. Not sure why it's doing that. There we go. And then this would be C. Wait, did I get... No, sorry. A7. Okay, right? Did I get that right? B5. Oh, no. C5, B6. I think I drew the wrong thing. Yeah, I did. This is actually supposed to be going off over there, right? A7, yeah. So tidy it up. Anyway, and then of course you've got the other math on the other side of this too. Let's try to draw actual. But anyway, the point of this is that it's just logical, then E, you're going down one, right? E3. Um, so, and again, the same things are going to apply where, if you're going and you're checking off in this diagonal direction over here and you find that, oh, this is occupied by one of my own pieces, I need to stop checking. Or if it's occupied by somebody else, you stop checking as well, but you would basically make this an available slot, so you'd include that one as, okay, so B3, whatever, that's a possibility. B2 is a possibility to land on. And then, then you get kind of into the wacky math where you've got your horsey over here, right? Do some horse ears. But again, it's just a matter of, kind of establishing in whatever function, you're writing that, okay, well, he can go 2 up, he can go up here, he can go up here, and 1 over, right? So on that way. And if it works out that you tried to go over here and over here and over here, well, there's no available slot over there, right? That's how you want to do it. And then, we're not even going to talk about the logic of making a computer versus somebody else. That to me is I'm sure it's actually probably a little bit more simple than I'd imagine, but it's for right now, it's beyond me. I don't feel like really thinking about it, but and then whatever logic you've got in here for when you take a piece, I mean, that's not that hard, right? This guy, if it is available and it's their turn, they go there and there's somebody else already there. Let's say they're already here, right? Well, then what happens visually? The queen is there now, right? And then whatever piece they took goes down. There's some sort of slot over here that shows you that poor pawn has got, So I think that's really kind of the easy stuff. Trying to think. I mean, this in terms of the kind of the game loop. I talked about this in the risk prototyping. This is about as simple as it gets too. So you offer people basically a chance to, so. All right, it's your turn, right? You can tap a piece. Okay, so if it's your piece, right? And again, you could detect the spot that they're tapping and see and check against whatever array contains all their pieces. And if you've tapped in a spot that it contains one of your pieces, that's your queen, right? Then at that point, maybe you start highlighting, these spots over here. Okay, so maybe you'd have a whole separate kind of a grid of areas that highlight stuff. You can also get away with probably just doing it with a just dynamically creating a color sprite at, again, these particular spots with a particular frame, in which case, so you just kind of yellow out all these little spots. And then you've got, of course, the point at which they actually, move or kind of commit. That could be a button, move right there. So, commit. And then, computer's going to look at, you got your game logic of, did a spot get taken? Do we have to do something like this where we move a piece down here? But again, it's all pretty simple because, you've got just very few steps and then it's back to being the next player's turn again, So that's kind of my basic take on, did I leave anybody out? And we kind of covered the pawns. I mean, yeah, well, you got your bishop, he's basically the queen's using one of his functions to check diagonals, king, I mean, that's an easy one. Again, I would make these functions do like check up and then have a parameter over here, for how much. So that's going to be, in king's case, that's just going to be 1, right? And I mean, I guess too, when you're setting up these parameters as well, if you wanted to feed in here just, for example, the queen, I was going to say you could just do 8 on all sides, but if you want to do kind of a pre-check to see, okay, well, if she's at whatever spot, then that you don't need to check up more than 3 on that side, right? So then you just change that to 3. So that way you're never getting into a case where, you query a spot that's D0, up that way. But, whatever works. And that's sort of my feeling with all programming. It's like, there's not nobody's like really looking at your code. Somebody from Apple is not gonna go and like, oh no, this is gross what they did. Ew, yuck. That's not really your Apple reviewer's job. Is not to see if you actually made a bad game. It's to see if you've broken any of their particular rules for either style or really just not even quality. It's just as long as you didn't slip some sort of pornographic image into the chess game. That's really what they're thinking, is that if you made the worst chess game in the world, that's not, they don't really care about that. You win every time. It's a great game. Actually, I did download a game recently. It was, I think, oh gosh, what was the name of it? I think it was just Really Bad Chess. It was free for a bit. I think it probably still is. I don't know. Really Bad Chess. But they would give you, you would start off with like 3 queens or something with an opponent that had 1 or something like that. And it was a fun game. You feel really good about yourself afterwards. I haven't gotten to the point though where they start giving the opponent 3 queens, but yeah, I was like, I'm good. I feel like a winner for one game. Okay, so anyway, that's my take on chess.